Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Jordan with Conquering Trading and Investing, and we're just about ready to get started here this morning. Coming into the session, we have, we have the pound. New Zealand dollar is the strongest. Pound is the weakest. The pound had some bad PMI numbers. It is selling off since. I took out my stop. I typed my stop up here yesterday. That stop got taken out. We also said yesterday that there's a good chance that this trend line here of support will hold if my stop got taken out, and I'll have a better chance for reentry if price does resume and turn around. Adversely, and we'll look at this during the weekly Forex forecast over the weekend, but we're going to look at levels as where this turns short and where we're looking once we break over here, where we break down, where we'll be looking to enter short. And if we have a failed breakout up to the top side, what we might see on the downside. We'll look at that soon. All right, just getting my bearings, just giving everyone a couple more minutes to get in here before we really get going. We have in about 45 minutes, we have the flash manufacturing PMI numbers out of the US. It'll be the last data point of the day. And it'll also be the last data point, really, the important one, going all the way through next Friday. So it's a big one. We had out of the Eurozone last night, we had some mixed numbers. We definitely had mixed numbers. Here they are. We showed positive signs in the German manufacturing PMI, which is a good sign that maybe perhaps a bottom is in. But at the same time, we saw their services fall off. So we're seeing the euro sell off a little bit on that. We're not going to get any further direction here on the euro until we find out what happens here this morning in New York. And just want to welcome everyone here this morning. Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to another great session with you today. It is not going to be a quiet one. Right now, though, I want to just take a moment. It looks like the pound Canadian dollar had actually good retail sales this morning. And it is firming up. It's firming up off of this move over here yesterday is because of the Central Bank of Canada saying that they don't expect any more policy adjustments. They don't expect any further rate cuts anytime soon. That was definitely net positive Canadian dollar. And then today you have stronger retail sales. Pound had those weak PMI numbers. Where is that? Here we are. Manufacturing and services, both weaker than expected. So if you are looking for any type of trades this morning, let's see if there's any more room here on the pound Canadian dollar. Obviously on the 8-hour, it was just beautiful. I'm sleeping when this price action happened. It's impossible for me to do anything about it. But what's going on right now this morning, let's drop down a little bit and just take a look and see if it's possible. You can kind of see right now we're trading at this support. If this resumes downwards, then you have a nice distance here to this take profit zone. So watch that today. Watch that this morning. If you're looking for a possible intraday play this morning during the session, you have these numbers coming out of New York in 5 minutes to worry about. This is the play this morning if you're interested. All right, let's begin. First, I want to check in with gold and see how that is developing. Again, you're going to hear me saying probably a lot this morning with any US dollar pair that we are kind of waiting to see what happens this morning, and watch it's going to wind up being a non-event. Nah, probably not. We're going to see a little bit of price action this morning. It is right now 9:05 in New York with about 25 minutes to the US equities open up. Generally, what we will see although price action looks to be kind of just calming down right now. Generally, what you see is the last 10 minutes before the US equities open, you see price retrace and then continue back towards the trend on the open. Right now, I'm short this pair with a small position. I had my entry over here. My entry was right over here at, it must have been out. Let me check the price. $171.38. So it was right here off of this resistance right here, and price is barely into profit. It was looking better overnight, about $10 into profit. But again, I'd have my original stop loss in. I'm respecting it. The same trade criteria exists. I have the downtrend right now. Going to see if this trade winds up picking up. Again, we won't be looking for any type of longs on gold until we regain this resistance level. If we do regain this resistance level, we have the true trend also positive at that point, and then we have some nice room to the upside to look for. Until then, the trend is down. We're looking for some further extension, and we have a nice setup right now on that. Let's check out the Euro US dollar as well. I'm going back and forth here. Let me pull up my two charts. I could make the transition a lot easier. And I also want to follow what's happening there on the pound Canadian dollar. Once again, good morning, everyone. All right. Euro US dollar. So it looks like this spiky price action. We have the resistance up here. Stop losses above this resistance still in this trade. We're going to see what happens with these numbers coming out in about 40 minutes. But what's happening right now is we saw overnight, there's 2 days in a row of long candles up, and there were no buyers to be found to hold price up. That obviously so far is looking like the bears have an edge. Let's see if they could get some follow through now. It will be nice. Hopefully things worked out according to plan. This trade will resume downwards, and then we'll have some momentum carrying into the weekend towards this first take profit zones down here. You can see the trend is down. Entries occurred right over here. My entry is right over here, right? The first resumption down. You had a second entry yesterday over here. If anyone took it, we were looking at it during the live stream. And now price is continuing downwards. That's nice. Let's check on the US dollar, Japanese yen. This continues now for the third day in a row, fourth day, really. All week, it's just been hanging out indecisive, and it still remains. I have my stop loss still down here at 107.88. And so now it comes into, I'm going to have to consider this morning here, moving my stop loss up about 30 pips to 108.19. Why? Because it's been a series of days where price has not traded below that level. Some time has passed. The rising wedge is definitely moving up a little bit. Let me see what that looks like on a lower time frame. Yeah, it's time to move this stop up. I'm going to move it up to 108, 18. It's time to go ahead and move that stop up and tighten that up and reduce my risk a little bit on this trade. It hasn't gone into profit, and it's kind of just been hanging out. And we have price for now for 4 days in a row, just consolidating this area. So that leads me to believe that if it were to break down below this range, it's got some movement. It would not only take out this stop loss, but has the potential to go much further. So I'm going to take a moment here and tighten up those stops. I'm moving my stop loss to 108.18. All right. I was stopped out this morning of my pound US dollar and pound Japanese trades. Again, yesterday I firmed up my stop loss on the pound US dollar. It was all the way. Let me show you on the 8-hour. It's a little bit easier. All right. Yesterday I was boom, boom. I had my stop loss initially pretty far away with a small position size. And then after we made this new swing low and price resumed up back to my entry, I moved my stop loss down here about half the distance to reduce my risk. And I did note that it's possible I get stopped out and that this trend line does hold. If we have a confluence of support over here, if the price does hold here and resumes upwards, this again will be a re-entry, another try at the long here on the pound US dollar. Adversely, we're getting close to a possible inflection point where it could break down and give us, we have to get, not going to take the first breakdown. I'll show you this on the weekly Forex forecast. We'll look at it then. I'm not obviously taking any shorts on this pair this morning. We're going into the weekend, so we're just going to wait on that. Let's look at the pound Japanese yen as well and what happened there. And that's a tough one. Still looks good. I had to take the stop. Did I take the stop? Need to drop down. Yeah. The stop loss was awesome. Was it moved? It must have moved up barely. Probably about 20 or 30 pips. You know, I moved up my stop loss yesterday. So that got hit. But again, it's not really doing much. And this could offer some possible longs if price starts resuming up, because price is still up here consolidating this move up. It's still very bullish. Things were turning though, and I wanted to get out of the trade, sticking with the trades that are going in my favor as opposed to just holding ones that are not. Did have an entry also on the Australian dollar, US dollar yesterday, and I want to take a look at that real quick. That is basically just holding as well, basically right near the entry price, but I still have sell criteria, even more so this morning. You see again, the entry CCI is pulled up in that downtrend. So we're on hold for the next 32 minutes until we get the numbers, and hopefully then we get some nice moves and see if we get a tradable event, take some nice gains going into the weekend. That would be nice. Yeah, we do have very big news in 30 minutes. We're waiting for that. So in the US dollar, Japanese yen, was this rising wedge trend line violated or broken? You know, this is more of an art than a science, right? And you could see here, I mean, from the line I drew in, which looks pretty good. Like if I wanted to clean it up, I don't think that would change. But if I was cleaning it up, it would look like that, right? So did it break over here? Was it violated over here or here? Here it held. You know, it was violated over here. Is it violated right now? It's a close call. So what I'm doing is I have my stop loss over here at 108.18 now, right? Because if you look at this little range right here, if price breaks below it, then we're resuming downwards, or most likely we're resuming downwards. But right now, you see all these little penetrations of the rising wedge, which is just used as a guide, right? You know, like I like my line right here. I'm keeping my line right there. What happens if you do like, you see the noise where it wicks down? We're still within that noise. You see all the noise over here? We're still within that noise. So I'm not trading it as if we broke it yet. What I am waiting for to happen, though, is if price makes a lower low than this 4-day range over here, then the pattern has failed. Until then, it has some time to get back up in there. So it's a good question. It's a really solid question. And again, this is more of an art than a science when it comes to support and resistance, trend lines, and patterns like that. Raj, everyone, good morning. And again, that's a really good question. All right, what else we got going on? What happened to our US dollar, Canadian dollar? Interesting that the Canadian dollar is firmer on those retail sales. We see that taking place on, for example, the pound Canadian dollar, but the US dollar is, holding up a little bit right here. So anyway, if we do get positive numbers this morning out of the US manufacturing, like if we have a nice beat, this could be a great opportunity to get long here. We have entry criteria. We are holding off this. I wouldn't, yeah, that's it's a minor support, right? You can see where price is trading right now. You have that resistance right there. It's minor going all the way back to this area. It was it's there. It's not a major level to play off of, but if price resumes upward here, if on some a nice beat, you have a nice trade here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar to the upside. For sure. Trend is still up though. So if we start trading downwards, I'm just waiting again. These two, why the trend is up, cannot take any sells until these two trade lines, support lines, get broken. Adversely, you could have taken a short here with the true trend so overbought and the entry CCI overbought for an extended period of time at the resistance because you had the stop loss so close. It's a good trade. It's not the type of trade I take, but it's a good trade. Very good trade. Typos are all good always. Don't worry for that. Euro Japanese yen is a similar situation here. It's just kind of hanging out, and it's been 4 days of just consolidating. Not really. It's so funny. We're getting such conflicting signals on this silly US China trade deal. You see in some feeds, you see back-to-back headlines where you see things are falling apart in the trade deal. Things are going well, like from the same news source released 30 minutes apart. And that's pretty much what's playing out here. Nothing right now. We're just waiting. Is it time to get out of the trade? Not yet. Maybe before this session's over, But right now, especially here on the US dollar, Japanese yen, we're at such an inflection point. I know where I'm wrong, right? And if this reverses over here, it becomes a nice trade. So it's always the most difficult to be buying. Hey, everyone. I appreciate you. Really, I appreciate, obviously, I don't ever do that. Sorry, I do apologize for that. Let's see what's going. So this is my justification for holding. Again, we haven't, this is still iffy whether or not we haven't violated the pattern. I know we violated if we hit a stop loss down here at 108.18. I gave it even a couple of pips, 108.20. I have my stop in at 108.18. If that gets broken, all this noise area of this rising wedge is done. And the hardest point, as I was saying, the hardest point to trade is always on the test of support, because it always looks like you're going to break support. It's always the hardest, but it also always offers the greatest profit potential in each instant. And it's the same thing over here, trading off the resistance. It looks like it's going to break up, and it's always the hardest, but it offers the greatest profit potential. And that's where we're at today. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm going to hit my stop. But if I'm right, then we have a nice trade on our hands. And until the pattern is violated, got to trade it. Good morning, Neola. And yes, this has been a difficult week to trade. There were opportunities. There were opportunities here that I missed. On the US dollar, Canadian dollar is definitely the biggest one. And the reason why is, look right here. You had price trading at support in an uptrend with the entry CC at pullback. This was a textbook entry. This is what we're looking for all day long. And this would have provided a beautiful trade. And I missed it, right? This one over here, the one we discussed earlier, this is not really a trade that I look for. You have really the trend CCI so overbought. It's trading up here about 150. And then you have the entry CCI also for like 4 price bars overbought and trading at resistance. So it's a possible counter trend trade. But this is the trade here. And this was a good trade. And it would have made a big difference in the week. And then after taking these losses on the pound today, thank goodness both of them were smaller size trades, as I noted, as I took them, because the stops were so far away. And I got to reduce the stop in half, but still it's a loss. And so now, we have the euro US dollar and the Australian dollar US dollar and a small gold open. So it really comes down to, this week comes down to this number in a little bit and what's going to happen here. We're just still on the euro Australian dollar stuck. Let me get rid of this. We're stuck in this range here of consolidation. This is coming off a little bit. If we look down here, this is going to trigger probably a little movement after the numbers in about 18 minutes. But look at this. So that's a strong uptrend that's been in, huh? Even though it violated this trend line, look at that. It's been in a strong uptrend. You could see some sharp correction to the downside if this keeps going here. So right now you have price pulling back there. That's good if you are looking to get back with this morning's trend. I'm not considering taking a trade here, but yeah. So we got about 15 minutes. We have the flash manufacturing coming out. I'm a little interested what's happening this morning with the US equities. And, they're up a little bit. So it's interesting, right? You had President Xi. I did see this headline earlier saying that China's working toward a trade deal. So you're not really seeing the yen come off. It's still indecisive. That's also because they also said in a different headline, or through like, I don't know if it was through the Chinese newspaper. The name is escaping me right now. That at the same time, for any type of deal to be made, they need the U.S. to roll back tariffs. The U.S. is not rolling back tariffs unless China goes ahead and goes back to the arrangements that President Xi walked away from back in May of 2019. So what else do we have this morning? Australian dollar is just stalled out again. We're all waiting there for 15 more minutes. What's happening with our New Zealand dollar is the strongest pair this morning. Look at we're still in this range. See this blue blocks. We're still within it. Getting close every day to breaking out to the upside here, perhaps. But nothing going on there. That's stuck in no man's land. You don't want to be involved in that at all. It's like trading Microsoft where it stayed in a $10 range for 5 years. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We've got some support down here we're playing off of. What's happening on the lower time frame? All right, I mean, this could be interesting if we could regain this resistance level right here and start trading above it. You can see here on the daily, price is so far stalling out on that support level, but you also see this sloping down of price action, right? So if you do break above it, that's going to be a little bit of a nice move. That's a tradable event we'll look for. But at the same time, we are getting lower highs, and that is very bearish. So you got to also watch for this potential breakdown, because you have 90 pips, 100 pips between these two support levels. That could be a nice trade as well. So let's watch this Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Let's watch what happens, which way this breaks. That could be a nice trade. This definitely, I wish I could mark this different. That's something to keep an eye on. So time check, we've got 14 minutes. Just want to keep an eye on that. I don't know which calendars you guys use. I do use Forex Factory calendar. You have to refresh it as the number hits to get the number. If you're using like a MyFX book, Forex calendar, it kind of just has a pop-up alert. Some people might prefer that. I don't trade off the news. So unless it's a rate announcement, but I'm not trading off the news release anyway. So I don't really need to see the number as it hits the wires. And believe me, there's a lot of high frequency trading algorithms that got that before you did. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, we got a lot of familiar faces in here in this morning. That's awesome. Hey, welcome back. And again, we've been doing this now for about 2.5 weeks. We will continue doing it every day at the same time. I love doing it. I actually look forward to doing it in the morning. So that's a good sign. And, it's over time, it's cool. These relationships will grow and these friendships get a chance to grow. So glad you're here. That's pretty cool. Those guys are pretty good over there, over at FX Street, out of Spain. That's cool. I never have used their calendar. I want to check it out. Just pull it up for this news event and see what happens, what it's like. as a person, as an individual, you always have to be looking to learn and to grow, and especially, whatever career you're in. As a trader, you always have to be looking and open to learn new things, looking to grow, looking to develop your skills. It's really important on a personal level as well as a trader level. Let's check out the economic calendar here. I didn't even notice that. You know what? Because this wasn't on. Let me. As you may or may not know, I only look at the high impact news events, and you do 15 minutes later. This is really important. This is 19 years of experience. 15 minutes later, you have those Michigan consumer confidence numbers out of the U.S. consumer sentiment. If this number, even though it's marked as a yellow, as an orange, as a medium impact news event, if because it's the consumer is so tied to the U.S. economy, it's what keeps the U.S. economy going. If this number was a surprise to the downside, that could have much more of an impact than these numbers we're about to get. These manufacturing numbers we're about to get. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll watch that number 15 minutes later. I've seen the market turn on those numbers in the past. It's interesting. Okay, I take that back. This is going to be a revised number. It's not really a headline number. Yeah, so if everyone really using different calendars, Daily FX has a calendar. I'm not familiar with that one either. CAD JPY, nice entry on that yesterday. I want to see how that developed and where you look at that, it bounced. Well done. Well done taking profit on that trade then. You have a nice short setup here happening too. So if you get a resumption here, this could be another opportunity to get short. At the same time, you are looking right here at regaining this resistance level, and then we will have some further upside. Hey, listen, I'm going to be honest. I hope that's what happens. I hope this trades furthers the upside, because I would love to see my euro Japanese yen trade and US dollar Japanese yen also do the same. But you have over here, you have this trend line here you have to respect. The closer you get to it, you're in this downtrend, you're looking for a short. Right now too, you're trading at this resistance. If this is rejected here and price starts making lower lows, this is a short. I'm going to be watching this one myself here. Now you do have that strength so far off those retail sales numbers on the Canadian dollar, which firmed it up. You did excellent job, obviously taking profit, watching how price reacted here. And you could see as it resumed upwards, good job locking in and taking that profit. That's an excellent trade. Just watching, see what happens here. If it gets closer to this trend line, it's a shorting opportunity with the trend down, as well as you're at a resistance line right here. So if price resumes downwards, that is a nice short setup as well. Again, Bitcoin getting toasted at 6 month lows here. I saw a chart this morning, and Peter Schiff, he's saying right now that this is a disastrous moment for Bitcoin. It's going back to $1,000. And some trader went ahead and posted a timeline on the Bitcoin chart and posted every time Peter Schiff has made a call about Bitcoin, and he's probably got the worst track record than CNBC. It is absolutely terrible, and a great reverse indicator to trade against. Check that out in the weekly. Yep. I expect right around here, the 6,500, if we trade down to it, is going to hold. I really do. I published a video last night on this, and I am calling right here. This is a fantastic time to be buying Bitcoin, to be definitely cost averaging in. We're getting close, I believe, to putting in a low, and I believe a low that, looking back on it, will be like, people wish they had bought down here, right? And when price was up here, oh, I wish I could have bought down here, and that price has come off again. You know, obviously there's a lot of fear in the market. A lot of people already have allocated all the funds they can to Bitcoin and are not able to really, take a position here, even if they like to. And then you have those smart traders who are just regularly dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, whether it's weekly or monthly. But either way, this is a great opportunity here. If you can watch the video, it's really short and it really flows well, and it's a good one. But I think that if we do get down to 6,500, that is where we're going to hold at. I think this is a great time to be buying, even though things look pretty bad right now, and there's a lot of fear, obviously, in the market. All right, we're getting close here, about 4 more minutes. Hopefully this winds up being a really actionable number here, one way or the other. It will open up, the opportunity to see if there's any plays this morning. So, but anyway, the expectation here, the forecast is a print of 51.5. Anything above 50 is in expansion. Okay. But if this number would have to be actually a big miss or a big gain to really see some type of movement here. I think the market at least wants to see the number be met, though. You don't like to see the manufacturings contracting, and they are worldwide. I know a lot of that is being blamed on the trade war, and although that has some type of effect, hey, listen, this cycle's been going on now for over 10 years. It's been going on for 11 years, and it has a lot more to do with how long this expansion has been going on than the trade war, right? Because basically, just the trade war has an effect on things, but manufacturing has moved from China to Vietnam. It's still happening, right? So if I refresh this now, you should get that little, you got to refresh that. That's how Forex Factory works. Raj says here they have a pop-up that will happen. I've never used FX Street Calendar before. Check it out right now. Neola mentioned Daily FX has a good calendar, and I know my FX book also has pop-up alerts that happen automatically. Again, I do use Forex Factory Calendar. I like it, and I don't ever put myself in a situation where I'm reliant on the actual number that affects my trade one way or the other. So it really depends on the news event, how things react. On a rate announcement, price reacts instantly. On a news release like this, it depends again how big the number is. If it's a really big miss or a really big meet, you're going to see you're going to see that reflected right away, as well as you're going to see probably some follow through on this one, because there's not much. The calendar's pretty light going into next week, so that anything the market digests should stick. That's a fluid situation. That's not black and white. That's dependent on what's going on currently in the market, what the news release is, how big the beat or misses. That is very fluid. All right, and that changes from day to day. Is this a type of event that you should stand aside on after it and wait until Monday to trade? Depends what kind of setup you're looking for. I'm not the only trade I wasn't really looking at it. Um, if, for example, where's our pound Canadian dollar? If I saw this resuming back downwards after this number's out of the way, that's a trade to consider this morning. Why? Pound is weakest. Australian dollar is really strong. If I saw this start making lower lows here, you know, I have a nice potential trade to take today from here to here. If you saw, for example, let's say there was a big miss and the yen started to really firm up here, well, then your Canadian dollar, Japanese yen is going to offer a nice play to the downside coming out of this setup potential. We have to see what happens, and I'll talk you through it as the number happens right now. Do you have the dollar firming up? Oh, what was the number? See, I didn't see a pop-up appear here. All right, so it was a beat, right? A small beat. That's just, I mean, what that really says to me is that this is going to be positive for the dollar. It has the go ahead now to continue firming up. I'm glad I had taken this trade here on the Euro US dollar and the Australian dollar US dollar. I took them according to what was happening on the charts, right? I said the news announcement wasn't going to affect me, and hopefully they get a chance to go ahead and firm up a little bit now. It would help salvage the week. It's not really going to ignite any new trades for me to take. This might get our US dollar, Japanese yen looking healthy into the wedge. So right now, this just appears to be dollar positive. But again, this was all trade stops that we had taken. We're not really using this event as a trigger. It only confirms that we want to be holding our trades as we're holding them. Hopefully gold also is firming up on that. It's not. Yeah, there it is. Neola, I like FX Street. I like all the guys involved there. Yeah, they have a good service. Ah, an audio beep. I didn't even hear it. I totally missed that. For the next news event, though, I am gonna pull up the MyFX book calendar when all of you guys are with me, only because you can't miss that one. There's really a loud alert, and it pops up. It makes like a bing. So we're gonna check that one out as well. It would be nice if this one gave an alert. You have to refresh it and everything yourself. Oh. let's see, boom, boom, boom. I'm hoping we get some follow through here, Michelle. I'm hoping that we get some follow through, and I hope we find ourselves soon at this support level over here, deciding, are we holding this trade? Are we taking profit? What's happening, and just waiting and watching it? That's a fun position to be in right now. Let's see what happens over the next 15, 20 minutes and whether or not this move has any legs to it. Same thing here with the US dollar, Japanese yen. I hope we start seeing, I hope we get out of this little range we've been in for 4 days and back into here. I would love the opportunity to be towards this resistance and seeing how we act at that resistance. If anyone sees any other pairs that are moving, please let me know. I'm just kind of in a holding territory, and still playing catch up on the week now because of those pound trades. So hopefully this little turn of events makes up for that and more. Yep. Trading is fun when you're on the right side of the market. I have to say that. So right now is the time. It's only about 5 minutes after the announcement. It's when the market's like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to continue with that move, or are we just going to stall out and reverse, right? Usually if you get the follow through back towards what's going on, it could be pretty strong and lasting. I think one of the strongest skill sets you could work on as a trader is just learning the discipline not to chase price. Is really important. There are really few times, and they're far and few between, where price is really moving and then it's okay to chase it. You want to chase it. You want to be trading that momentum. But it's very rare that price is moving fast and hard. We're getting close. I hope we just get a pop. What's happening on our pound Canadian dollar? Did that wind up being a resumption of the trend? Is that still stalling out, or it's getting close? Yeah, it would have to make new lows, not just take out this price bar, new lows to get interesting. But that's not happening right now. What about, so that the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen should be firming up right now. It should be looking to break that little resistance it had overhead and be testing that upper trend line next. My little trend line's gone. So when price does reach this upper trend line, assuming it does, that's going to be a point to watch whether or not it breaks down, or if the Canadian dollar is going to keep firming up here, right? Adversely, if we get a break above this trend line, right, we'll have the true trend turning positive. That could be a nice trade if it does happen, right? If we ever get a break of this trend line to the upside, that's a nice trade where we have the swamp with us, and we have, hopefully eventually even a test back up here. So that's something to keep a watch on as well for future development. Right now, the trend is down though, and we're going to see what happens when we get to that trend line over here. If price gets rejected and resumes the downtrend. All right. Pound US dollar coming down, testing that trend line right now. Right. Longer term, what's happening here? Let me get a trend line in on the downside here. I have it. So we're coming up. We have this heavy yellow line here. That's major support. So let me darken this line in. That's major support right now. We have this trend line right now that price is testing and holding. So for the bull side, if this holds and price resumes up, that's a buy, right? That's a buy. On the downside here, price needs to break. You have 3 support lines. You have this trend line right now, price is testing. Let me zoom in for you. You have this trend line here right now that price is testing. That's support. If price bounces off it, that's bullish, right? You have this upper trend line here, which is also support. And then you have this major support. So you have 3 areas of support right now, 1 major, right? And if price breaks these 3 areas of support, that's a short. Then it's a short, right? And that could happen. That could happen next week. Could it happen today? Maybe. It's tough chasing breakouts on a Friday afternoon. But that's what we're looking at here. And the time to get short is not now. It's not anywhere up here, right? Price is bullish. It's in a breakout. You have to wait for these 3 areas of support to break to think about a short. And then you have your easy first target down over here, which is support over here, as well as this lower support line. But right now, price is holding above all 3 support lines. All right. Now is about, right about now is the time when we'd like to see this US dollar move resume and actually pick up some momentum sometime within the next 5 minutes. Let's see if that happens or not. Either which way, everything is in favor of those trades. Technically, fundamentally, there's no reason to think about changing any of them. Right. So all we've seen since the news announcement is about a 10 pip move on the US dollar, and then price since is kind of stalling out here. And let's see what happens. Let's see if right now, around these next few minutes, we start picking up some momentum. Equity markets are right where they were when we looked at them a half hour ago. There we go. Is that the beginning of the move we were just looking for at the exact time we said it would occur? I don't know. Let's see. I also do look forward to Friday afternoon. I get to go ahead and prepare the weekly Forex forecast. That is very popular and winds up being a good piece of structure, a foundational piece of the week ahead, as far as formulating ideas. I know that every day we're definitely with the flow and the pulse of the market, but it really helps in that moment to take a step back over the weekend and make sure that we're seeing things from that deeper perspective. It looks like the US dollar, Japanese yen has a good chance here of this session creeping back into this rising wedge pattern. All right. Now, remember, long term, a breakdown will provide an excellent short opportunity, a nice long term swing trade. But until it breaks, look at all these inflection points. It had the possibility of breaking down and is held, and that's where we are right now. If we are able to hold this support here, if we're able to get back into this rising wedge pattern, and then ultimately break up here this resistance level at 108.94, then we have some nice room to the upside here. So it's a good thing we're involved in the trade. We don't know yet how that's going to pan out. Yeah, it's multiple. The US dollar is definitely, it was firming up. The US dollar was firming up before the PMI numbers. We saw that. If we just really quickly check out a couple of US dollar charts, we had the resistance over here on the US dollar pair, euro US dollar, and we took a short trade off of this. My entry was over here, took short off. So you had the dollar firming off, technically off of this resistance. On gold, the same thing. You had the US dollar, that's silver. You had the dollar firm up off that resistance. Australian dollar, US dollar, same thing. You had so technically the dollar was firming up off of a resistance level. Same thing on the US dollar, Japanese yen. You had this lower support here. So the PMI numbers just has given that more reason to continue. It's just affirmed that level that the dollar was trading off of technically, right? So it's not like as if those PMI numbers reversed, the near term trend of the dollar. It just more validated it. You see here on the DXY2, you had this support. You had I'm sorry, yeah. Let me clean this up for you, for me and for you. You had over there support, and then you had another support level here. That's why the blue box, it was between the two support levels. You had price coming in, testing it, weaker dollar. This area here has held its support, and price was started bouncing off it. Those PMI numbers confirmed it. So the next move on the dollar looks like it's going to get up here and test this 98.44 area, 45 area, whatever you want to call it. That looks like it'll be the next move. And then from there, the dollar will decide if it's going to break up to the upside or not. You can see the true trend is currently up. We're above the support level. That's what we're looking for. That's what we expect will happen. Not saying it's going to happen, but that's what it looks like is occurring. Yeah, Hanero, you could go to, hold on. Ideally for me, if you send any direct messages to my Twitter, I'm going to see that for sure. So that's the best way to get in contact with me. If you don't, I don't like email. Email is basically like, this is like a board where people could go ahead and, impose any tax they want on you at any time. So I don't check my email as often as I should. It's not something that I really find fun and enjoyable. But you could go ahead and also email me at you could use Jordan Lindsay at bitcoingrowthbot.io. I plan on by next week having an area where we can meet, a web page available. You'd be able to do it through there as well. If you want to get a response the same day though, or right away, you could use this right here. The Twitter is the best, or you could use traderjcl@gmail.com and get a response as well. But it is, email is not the best way to get a response. Right here, it's BTC_growthbot. And, I do check my Twitter multiple times a day. I will definitely know that someone sent the question and then respond to it. Raj, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm bad at email. And little by little over time, I've gotten worse and worse. It's just not an enjoyable thing. But I apologize for that. And I will look for that email today, 100%, Raj. We're back where we were 15 minutes ago, right? Nowhere. It's okay. We're going to see. Prices are going to move when we least expect it. But it would be obviously nice going into the weekend with this move continuing a little further, right? Another 10, 15, pips would be beautiful. And it would really, salvage the week, turn it into a good one. So let's hope that happens. We're definitely on the right side of the market, and that's a good thing. Would love to see this true trend turn here to the upside for price to break out above this 4-day range and take a look at this resistant level right above coming off this. The weakness on the euro US dollar must be weighing a little bit here on the euro Japanese yen. But we're holding here. We're holding here also. We're still respecting the pattern. We're in that buy zone that we had planned out. We're inside this channel. If you take a step back from the bigger picture, you could see this channel. And until this channel breaks, as we're getting towards the support line here, can't be looking for any shorts, right? I wouldn't. What do you have here? 25 pips. I mean, it's not my style. Looking for the long trade to resume here. And again, if it does, there's nice potential here. We have 100 pips up until the next resistance. It's a heavy resistance. So we're going to watch what price does at that resistance. If it blows through, when resistance or support gets taken out, it usually blows through. And if it blows through, then we got a home run on our hands. Mimi, do I have the wrong link for the download of the indicators on the video, the MT4 tutorial for downloading the true trend and the period converter? I will definitely check both of them out right away and make sure. Raj Hanero, I might have direct messages only. Raj Hanero, I might have direct messages only open to those who I'm friends with. So I need to find that setting and open it up. Let me just take a quick second to do that right now. All right. In the meantime, I just followed you both, so you should be able to direct message me now. I will look into just how to figure out how to open up those settings to where I don't have to be following someone to receive direct messages from them later on. But right now, I'm with you guys on the live stream. So the quickest and fastest solution was just I followed you guys back. You should be able to direct message me now. Let me know if that doesn't work. Raj, even now with me following you? Awesome. That was the fix. You guys, if I'm following you, could direct message me. Again, I'll look at that later. I want to make sure that's open to everyone, to anyone. But I'm not going to do that right now while we're together. We do have nothing happening. Price definitely in our favor. That's always a good thing, but we would love to see some follow through. I don't know if we're going to get that or not. Obviously, we're not looking for other setups to occur right now. The market, first of all, is not moving. And then we're going to have later this afternoon put together the weekly Forex forecast, which will really give us our plan going into next week in that necessary overview and perspective. But right now, these trades that we were able to get into late in the week or even earlier for the US dollar, Japanese yen seem to be holding up. The Australian dollar is actually not following through to the downside yet. And the pound looks like it's getting toasted. Here it comes down. Look at that. The pound is getting toasted right now because you do have the weak services and manufacturing PMI that came out of England, as well as you have these firmer numbers on the dollar. And, again, until these support levels get taken out, you have three support levels. You have this, first of all, trend line support. You have this trend line support, and you have this big support right here. Those three would need to get taken out for me to consider. This should be a little higher, no? There we go. We have these wicks and then this wicks. So that's my guide right there. If price gets back into this channel and takes out this support, then we'll be looking for shorts. Yeah, thanks for working that out with me, guys. I appreciate it as well. I wish I could throw up a picture here of what I was working on last night. You guys are all going to really enjoy it. And hopefully later I'll have some time to finish creating that for us. But right now, Twitter's the best way to get a response from me. I'm going to see it and be able to respond to any messages right away. Sorry about the email or lack of following email. Is there anything going on that anyone is watching that we want to take a look at? I mean, I have to think this is going to break down here. Let's see if we get another leg lower. Currently, the support is holding. You do have a weak pound, and if that does break, might be able to get that nice continuation move. I'm not looking at taking this trade. I'm simply not, but I am following it. What's going to happen is the pound's going to make a stand here at the support and turn up, or are we going down lower? And again, not something that, even if support holds here, I'm not looking this late in the week to take an actionable trade here on the pound. But you know, going to be looking on Monday, if this starts reversing upwards and these supports hold, to be looking for the long. That's the hard trade, right? Supports need to be all broken to look for the shorts. Otherwise, this thing is bullish and it's still holding its levels. And it's kind of like Bitcoin. It's the hardest time right now to be buying because it's scary, but this is the time to be buying. A lot of people start selling over here. This is where a lot of people start selling. This was the time, you know, resistance, support. That's a 4-hour chart. Don't like looking at the 4-hour. That's a time to be buying Bitcoin. And again, it's a really nice video. If you get a chance and want to check it out, I went yesterday, provided an update on what's going on with Bitcoin, and I went ahead and it was really cool. Back in January 6th, Bitcoin was trading at 4,000. And I said, hey, listen, within the next 3 months, we're going to see it testing 8,400. I was off by about 4 or 5 weeks, but it did do that. It tested the 8,400 and actually took it out by a lot. Right now, again, yesterday, I went on the record saying, listen, this is the time to buy Bitcoin. I don't think we're going below 6,500. Bigger perspective, long term, if you're looking to dollar cost average in, this is going to be, looking back, one of those places where you wish you were buying Bitcoin. And I know there's a lot of fear and selling going on right now. This is that video right there. You go ahead, if you get a moment, give that a watch, see what you think. I'm pretty interested to see what happens over the next 35 minutes. It's normally at the London close where things get, you know, directions could be picked for the rest of the session. Price tends to pick up during this half hour here. Hopefully we get this current trend on the dollar to hold and continue. We're going to find out. Hopefully we find out. Hopefully we just don't sit here. Mima, I'm so sorry about that. I'm gonna fix that right away. I'm gonna get you those correct download links. And I want to take a moment to check in on that myself right now. I'll do that while we're all together. As far as the euro, Japanese yen, so let's look at this together. because I'm currently in a long trade here. Boom, boom, boom. So the euro US dollar seems to be weighing a little bit. The mixed numbers out of the European Union last night seem to be weighing on the euro a little bit, but this is more of a question of what's going to happen with the Japanese yen, which, so right now, the reason I'm still holding this trade is because we're within this channel, within this pattern. And I have a intuition, a feeling that we're going to start seeing a little bit of yen weakness off of all these supports. I don't see a reason for the yen to break down yet. You have here this channel on the euro Japanese yen. You have this rising wedge here. And until they break, I expect they're going to hold. So I also have, if you look at the euro Japanese yen, you never got a test of the lower support here, right? On this area, you tested all the way down to the support. So this was a little bit more bullish because it didn't even test all the way down. And then price since is consolidating along this current support. You see over here, there's a little support that it's hanging out at right now, and that's holding. And then below it, I have more support. I have this support, and I have this lower trend line support. So my stop is below all of that. If my stop gets taken out, this is a failure of this channel and the trade is dead wrong. But right now it's still holding up. So I'm holding this pair. It's not really going anywhere. And I said earlier, yeah, maybe I'll look at reassessing this to see whether or not I wanted to exit this trade, since it's not really moving in my favor or going anywhere yet. But there's no reason to do that right now. And I'm still just going to hold this trade out and give it some time, because everything is still technically holding up. It's just not going anywhere right now, but it's not giving me a reason to exit or reevaluate. And yeah, absolutely, of course. I mean, I love sharing my perspective and views, and also every single one of you at any time also share yours if they're conflicting. You know, that's how teams work the best together. Mima, I just really wanted to confirm with you. Was it both links that were showing a PDF, or was it just one? Was it just the period converter? All right, something's wrong with that. Let me fix that for you. Mima, I just checked the True Trend download link that's in the description of the MT4 tutorial video, and that one is working. Uh, the first thing you got to do, you get like a pop-up window that says like, do you want to sign in? Just X out that box and then look and you'll see a blue box that says download. That one's working. Nevertheless, I'm going to check the other one also, but nevertheless, I will make that just instead of the Dropbox download link, I can make that a direct link off of a website. I could put those files on a website and then you could just click on them and download them easier. And I will do that, and I'll do that today. Yeah. Also, look, here's the link right here. This is the link for the period converter. And you can see here it's showing it's a .ex4 file. It can't be previewed. X out this, or click no thanks, continue to view, or just click X. And then just go here and click download. And it's a direct download. Okay, that's how you, for both files, that's how you do it. And then you could download both of them. They should be working right off the Dropbox. If they're not, again, let me know and I'll make the process easier. Yep, I'll do that and I'll make it a direct download. All right, here's the euro taking another test at the low since the manufacturing PMI number. But we do see that looks like we're getting some yen strength picking up. I don't see any headline that would be causing that yen strength. So nothing really to reassess there. Let's see, Hanera. Hanero. So I am putting together actually I wish I could share this picture with you. How could I do that? Give me 1 second. But in the meantime, why I am getting that picture up to you to show you what I'm putting up for you guys. What kind of tutorial are you looking for exactly? That's an important question that I want to know. And then I'm going to show you at the same time what I'm working on to help you out. All right. So this is what I was working on last night. This is the web page that I'll have up soon. This obviously down here, you can't see it. This is the trading strategy that we use for those who trade full time. It's a beginner strategy that's really important for learning a lot of concepts behind trading. It'll have our true trend indicator. This is the live streams that we're doing every day, the discretionary trend filing, and this will be like a clickable link. And then in it, Hanero, it'll have it'll have tutorials on what we're doing and how we're doing it that go along with the live streams. And I think that's exactly what you're looking for. And that's why I'm saying to you, if you have any further input about what those from your end need to look like, that's helpful for me as I'm preparing them. And either way, I'm gonna prepare all the information that the plan I have envisioned, and then we could go ahead and work off that and add to that. This is similar to this strategy, this beginner strategy. This is an intermediate strategy that's black and white. It's a set of rules to follow that I'm going to share with you as well. It's not ready yet. The ones that are blue will be ready. This one I will be sharing. I don't know the dates. I think they're December 11th and 12th. Might be the FOMC and the ECB meetings. During those meetings live, I'll release this strategy for you. And then we have the Bitcoin accumulation strategy, which I already have the video for. And in each of these sections, we'll then be able to go ahead and add more information about each one. Exactly. We're on the same page then, or so it seems. And also once I go ahead and I, am able to prepare and present that information, then you guys could help let me know what needs to be clarified more or what needs to be cleaned up or things like that. So it'll just be like an ongoing process like that until we get it. So it's best presented for you guys, for everyone. And I do like the look of that. I think it's going to be a good resource for these live streams. I think you're referring to the scalping strategy. Those are going to be on, let me see. Yeah, it's the 11th and 12th of December. On the 11th, we'll have the FOMC statement that should provide an opportunity to introduce the scalping strategy because we should see some price movement. And then the next day, we also have the ECB. Yep, rate, and then the press conference, and both of those will be live streamed, and I'll show you how I am scalping and trading those in real time. Or I don't know, maybe it's better to make a, yeah, I think I'll live stream them with you and then go ahead and I'll edit those videos afterwards so that they're a resource for all of us. But either which way, it'll be on those dates when the first opportunity presents itself to go ahead and show you and introduce to you how that's done. Yeah, I think doing it in real time live is awesome, but then I think I need to take that footage and instead of publishing it is clean it up, because as you'll see as it happens, as I walk you through it, there are like, you know, there's the event, the reaction, and then there's like 20 minutes of pause. And then there's like the start of the press conference, and then like you have to wait for the question and answer, and then you have to wait for it. I'll walk you through it and I'll explain it all. But the replay of that will be really good, a really good resource. We're starting to see the dollar firm up a little bit. Again, it's trading at its lows since the PMI announcement. We have about 15 more minutes to the London close. This is normally when price will pick up a little bit. And we saw that the US dollar, the yen pairs are turning around again. Gold is trading at its lows here. That's good. Hoping that I get a breakdown of this area over here around, I guess, 1459. And then I could take a look down here. You know, that's a very small position, but it can wind up being a very nice trade for the account overall. There we go. Absolutely, Hanero. Thank you. Raj, the only time I do it is on when the market is moving. And unless you're in a crisis, 2008, October 2008, and that whole area, the Forex was going explosive daily, enormous moves. Outside of that, and by the way, position sizing during that time was also phenomenal. It was the easiest time ever. But it's the central bank rate announcements, FOMC, ECB, that provide the opportunity to scalp the market, and it's the best way to trade during those times. It used to be non-farm payrolls were a good time, not for a long time now. The market is not really keying off of non-farm payrolls at the moment, and it's not a good time to be scalping. I know. I mean, what I'm really hoping is that this picks up even a little bit more. Now, the DXY is the US dollar index, but this is weighted very heavily against the euro. But you could see here that we are resuming this upwards, and it looks like we're going to be taking a look at 98, 40, 45 area to see what happens at that resistance. Which will have us down here also at our first support level. Now, just let's look forward a little bit, and let's say that we are able to take a look at this support down here. The first thing I'll do as we approach the support is I'll move my stop to break even. And then what I'll also be doing is watch how price reacts around that level. If price stalls out or starts bouncing, then that will be the trade. I'll take profits over there. But if for any reason we're able to break through it, that opens up the door for a nice trade, right? So you're looking for those consistent trades, but always giving them the opportunity, if they turn into the big one, to go ahead and take those bigger profits. Anyone who's just joining us today for the first time, I just want to extend you a nice welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking us out. We offer a lot of value, and I'm really happy to share it with you. If you don't get the opportunity to be with us on a live stream, you could always watch the replay. You could always watch normally the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the replay, and have the pulse of the market, know exactly what's going on in the next 24 hours. And it's a phenomenal resource. Do love when you're able to go ahead and join the live streams and interact with us. We're always, after we get the initial review of the market out of the way, always open to looking at any setups occurring on any currency pairs, discuss them. It brings insight, added insight to all of us, as well as, sometimes brings interesting opportunities up. And it's always good for everyone to always be learning. Speaking of, I'm looking at the pound Canadian dollar here. Just looking at that trend line that was violated overnight. Nothing actionable I see. Euro again continuing to push to new session lows. Picking up. Dollar is definitely picking up here. Is that reflecting in the euro? US dollar, Japanese yen? A little bit. All right, first let's take a look at the euro, Japanese yen. I'm going to take off the true trend. We don't need it at all. Taking a look at the channel. Raj, yeah. So I think we're looking, Paul, at the same channel. Here's the channel I have in here, going back to September 18th. You might have it drawn in different than me. Let's take a quick look real quick. And I'll show you exactly why I just did what I did. And I think I need to go back to the daily. All right. I have my trend line is down here, and I just put in this trend line right over here. Why did I do the second one? Just so we could look at this together right now. I went to right here where instead of the wick, the close, which is normally better to go off of the close right here, the open and the close. And then you could see that that was broken over here and then regain that channel. And then this trend line here was respected again over here. Okay, I just drew this trend line and I didn't have it before on my chart. I had this one in here. I'm going to make this one darker. All right. Now, this is the trend line I had in, and the reason I was using that was because I had it coming from this wick to this lower penetration over here. So makes sense to have them both in, because this one that I just drew in, although it was violated over here, has been respected over here again. And it looks like we're coming back to test that low over here. Now I have my stop over down here at 119.18. And you can see if that stop is hit, what's happened is this support is taken out. This trend line, the lower end of it will be taken out also. So I'm dead wrong on this channel still holding up. I didn't want such a tight stop that in this area over here, in this buy zone, that I was taken out of the trade. I wanted to give it the room to prove that I was dead wrong. What looks like happening right now, clearly, it looks like that that this is going to be challenged. Price is definitely, well, price right now is trading one. It's testing the low of the week's range. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 price bars, and price is testing that low right now. And it appears, it certainly looks like there's a good chance of breaking down further. And this support trend line will be tested first, the lower trend line support. And if this one breaks and this support breaks right here, I'm dead wrong and I'm out of the trade and I'm wrong. But until then, I'm playing this multi-month channel and looking for it to continue. See, I believe that for the, and I'm not saying this is correct, but I believe for the US dollar, Japanese yen to break out of this rising wedge, for the euro, Japanese yen to break out of this channel, that you do need some pretty significant fundamental news to also align here. I believe we need to see the current trade talks fall apart a little bit or escalate a little bit. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm trading it technically. Again, if this pattern fails, I have my stop right over at 118.18, 108.18. I'll know if I'm wrong. I'll know if this rising wedge is violated and falls apart. Same thing here. I know I'm dead wrong if I get stopped out of this trade. Granted, it's still 65 pips below here. Raj, you said you have a falling resistance line going back to September 18th. Is it possible you could go ahead and go to this website right here, postimg.cc, and go ahead and upload a screenshot? I would love to take a look at what you're looking at. It'll make it a lot easier for us to discuss it. So just go ahead to post img. It's postimg.cc. And just go ahead and upload the image and post the link in the chat. Raj, which setups were easy? No setups are ever easy. All right, let's go back and look at the current ones that are currently falling into profit and why. I'm going to look at them at the 8-hour, Raj. These are the ones to review, and I'm going to show you the one that we missed that is phenomenal. All right, so here you go. The reason that this trade on the euro US dollar was taking last was because price was coming up. We had this resistance line drawn in ahead of time. We were looking at it. We also had one over here right where my cursor is, right? Now, my entry on this trade was the first. I had true trend down, entry CCI pulled back. I'm waiting for price to resume back down towards this downtrend. Now the first entry, and I took it, was here when price made the lower low. I believe this was during the London session. I had my sell stops in, and I got triggered right here. There was an opportunity the following day, yesterday during the New York session, we looked at it, another opportunity to get short right here. Again, price came back up and tested this resistance again and was selling off it. You had the true trend down, you had the entry CCI pulled up, and you had price resume back down towards it. We noted that we had the major news events coming out of both the euro and the US dollar the next day, but still wanted to take that trade technically because we knew if this resistance was broken, that we're just dead wrong on it. And it was a nice risk to reward. The first area to look for take profit was down here. And the stop was just right here. So it was a good trade to look at. One that you should look at and review, because I have twice since I missed the trade, was on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. This is a trade that happened early in the week, and I was sleeping on it. And the reason why it was a good trade to take was you have the true trend in the uptrend, and then you had this support. Okay, you're looking to take these trades off of support and resistance, off of triangles, off of rising wedges, off of channels. Here you have the support, this green line that we drew in on Friday together. And then this looks like this happened on Monday or Tuesday. I'm not exactly sure. You had the trend was up and the entry CCI pulled down as you're resting on support. And then price resumed out of it off of support with our entry right there. That was a fantastic trade, probably the trade of the week, and I missed it. That's one to review. The Australian dollar, US dollar, what happened here? This trade was entered in yesterday, I believe right here. I took the entry on this. I had the true trend down. I had this resistance level right here. I also have this resistance up here. Okay. Price was giving me criteria with the entry CCI up and the trend down. And then price made a lower low here. It gave me the trade. You had two opportunities to place a really tight stop above the swing high right here, or better above the channel right here. You know you're wrong, and you go ahead and you set your position size accordingly. Gold was also a really good setup, clean setup to look at. This is one to review. Again, this is similar to the euro US dollar. I took the trade over here on this entry. This was the resistance we had. We're looking to take shorts with the trend as price resumes off the resistance. I got into the trade right here on the first resumption. And then the next morning, it had tested the resistance again and was rejected. This was obviously a better place to take an entry. Those are the ones you need to review and look at. All right, let's go to the euro, Japanese yen, September 26th. September 26th high. Till April 17th. Paul, is that the trend line you're looking at? I mean, first of all, it's a good trend line. If that's the one you're looking at, obviously you had the false breakout here, but then over here off of those lower support, you had a nice entry over there. I'm not sure if that's the trade you're looking at or not. If that's the trend line you see and that you're looking at, this obviously is not affecting anything that's happening over here right now, though. This, was a beautiful setup that occurred off of here. Whenever you have these long trend lines that are violated, and here it didn't work out, but these wind up being fantastic trades. We've looked at that on the past together. The one that happened in gold over here. This was the start of this whole bull move. And you could see you had that first also breakout test of support. This was textbook. This is one of the best. These trades always work out really well. September 2018. Where are we going? Yeah, it goes. Okay, I got it. It goes back even further. Well, no, I lost it. Yeah, that doesn't align as well as the high over here did for that play. And then what was the other date you gave me? April 17th. Hold on, I got it now. All right. That's what you're focused in on, Paul. I'm not really focused in on that, to be honest. Look, if you were focused in on that had already broken last week. I'm more focused in on this channel that we're in right now. I'm more focused in on this support line down here, this red line. If you were focused in on that channel, that trend line over here, which we definitely have correct now. Thanks for sticking with me and the patience on getting on the same page together. And by the way, if anyone does want to post a chart, this is probably the easiest way to do it together. Let's go to that website. We'll have to include that somewhere as a resource for all of us over here somewhere. But, this trend line, it was violated right here. But again, this support, this red line support, definitely is what held there. And you have this trend line to be looking off of over here. Nice. Finally seeing that euro continuing and making new lows on the day. But we are seeing definitely yen strength across the board right now during this session. I don't know if that's going to continue or not. We'll have to reevaluate as this session continues what to do with these open yen positions over the weekend. Gold is also rising as the yen is coming up. Just wondering what's going on the wires. And I don't see anything. I would have to say, I mean, this headline here, Trump says he stands with Hong Kong. You know, I have to be honest, if the president didn't sign this Hong Kong bill, that would be a big disappointment. Those people over there, the youth of Hong Kong, are fighting for freedom. There's nothing more important going on in the world right now. They are fighting for freedom and liberty. And if the United States, who was built on the principles of freedom and liberty, can't stand with them, regardless of whatever the view of China or anyone else is, the US, America has lost its way. It's not looking good right now at all for the euro Japanese yen. But at the same time, we have a bunch of support. It's kind of like the pound US dollar, right? And the pound US dollar, I'm going to go back to the euro Japanese yen in just 1 second. On the pound US dollar, you're testing 3 areas of support, and they need to be broken before you're going to look for shorts. They're not broken yet. On the euro Japanese yen, we have under us this red line of support. We have this double trend line lower channel support drawn in now, right? And the reason why we do is, you know, from the bottom of the candles to this violation is our, you know, red line in the sand, our bright yellow line in the sand. If that gets violated, trades off. You have the upper part of that lower trend line, which price is still coming down right now to test it along with this. So you have 3 at the red line. You have 3 areas of support. So why it doesn't look good, because price is coming down to test it. It didn't look good here. It didn't look good all over here. And it doesn't look good again right here. But each of these instances was, you know, where it did hold. So we have to wait and see what happens. Until it breaks, it hasn't broken. And yeah, right now, it doesn't look so good. But it's fighting it out. There's a battle going on at that inflection point, and that's why we're long both of them. That's when you want to be buying, right? And that's when you want to be selling at the tough points. It's the most difficult points to get into that trade and hold them. But you know where you're wrong. You always have a limited stop and a much higher risk, and that's why you take them. Absolutely, Hanero. And, you know, it's also part of the reason why I've got involved in Bitcoin and believe in Bitcoin, because I believe that Bitcoin is a huge part of the fight for freedom. I believe the current financial system, the debt-based monetary fractional reserve monetary system, is the largest cause of a lack of freedom in the world today. And Bitcoin opposes that. If you have the time over the weekend on YouTube, go ahead and search out The Creature from Jekyll Island, and it'll explain to you how the current central banking system became to be. Highly recommend it. The Creature from Jekyll Island. Yeah, I think it's really important to begin to understand crypto. I'm. It's just a question of actually putting together some resources, some really good podcasts, um, and having them in a resource area. I think over here will be the best place in the Bitcoin section for people learning about Bitcoin. Um, so Bitcoin is like the ultimate rabbit hole you can go down. It is taking the red pill, and that's why I suggest you first to go ahead and if you're not familiar with how the central banking system begun to be, and to understand how money and is created, you first have to understand money to understand Bitcoin. So I'll include that information on understanding how money works. They don't teach that stuff in schools. You have to know how money works, how the monetary system works, uh, before you begin to understand what Bitcoin is and why it's so important. And then you go further down the rabbit hole, understanding how it's decentralized, meaning that no one controls Bitcoin. You could see when Facebook was thinking about creating their Libra cryptocurrency token, they bought Mark Zuckerberg before the House to testify. You can't bring the CEO of Bitcoin before the House to testify because there is none. No one controls Bitcoin at all. It's the largest decentralized computer network in the world. It is bigger than all of Google's server farms. And no one could tell you that you can or cannot use it. You could send or receive money to anyone in the world without anyone else's permission to do so. It is unconfiscatable. They cannot freeze your bank account. They cannot go into your bank account and deduct funds. And if you don't think that's a big deal, there's actually a video I wanted to put together. Switzerland is now talking about introducing a digital currency. And one of the worries about it is that under the guise of protecting people from terrorism in Switzerland, they're talking about the need to have absolutely no privacy so that they can control everyone, see every transaction everyone's making, and cut anyone off from the system at any time. Either which way, sorry for the tirade. I just wanted to give a brief glimpse into that rabbit hole, but I'm passionate about it. I think it's really important to understand how money works, and that is something we'll work on being able to share together. Yep. Yeah, thanks for pointing all that stuff out. Again, when you're coming from a position of having a certain degree of knowledge, you forget what it was like when you first started. And just by the way, without getting into it now, you need a hardware wallet, such as Trezor, Trezor. If you're storing any type of Bitcoin that's worth more than the wallet, which costs about $70, right? Then you want to store it in the most secure way, which is in a hardware wallet. But that's a good, I could link to a resource on that for helping people understand why and whatnot. It's not complicated, although like anything new, including riding a bicycle, until you do it, it seems really difficult or overwhelming. Um, and it's just like anything else. All you need to do is kind of learn about it. When you get a new TV, I mean, remote or a camera or whatever the case may be, at first you're like, what is all this? And then you spend a little bit of time with it, and little by little you come to understand it. I mean, there's a lot I want to first put together and present as far as currency trading is concerned. Um, and you could see on the YouTube channel that most of our topics are on currency trading. I do discuss Bitcoin, and then I also discuss more of these macro events that are shaping up as well. And all those things are important. I want to first lay out everything that we need as far as the currency trading is concerned, and then also work on presenting the information people would need probably within this section here on understanding Bitcoin, how you could learn about it and come to understand it, and the importance of it. Um, and it's all going to take a little bit of time trying to make progress every day. The most important thing to me are working together and and teaching during these live streams. And then, as you can see, I got started on presenting this information in a way that provides a good resource for everyone, and we'll continue building off of that. So it's a good point. Listen, if you sincerely, if you are just joining us today, if this is your first time checking out what we're doing here in these live streams every day, which we just began a couple of weeks ago, do go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now, because we want to see you more often. We want to share with you what we're doing every day. Every day we do the live streams, take a look at the market. Our weekly Forex forecasts are extraordinarily helpful. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now. There's a lot of resources down here. Check out how we use the true trend, this tutorial, really helpful. Here you have last week's weekly Forex analysis. We'll release another one tomorrow morning. Here are the downloads for True Trend for MetaTrader 4 or Trading View. A lot of helpful stuff. Really, hey, thanks everyone. We got a lot of likes this morning. Definitely appreciate that. And we look to see and share more with you. I am cautious, right? Going into the weekend with this yen showing a little bit of strength, but I'm not going to move my stops. I'm going to be proven wrong if I'm wrong. All right, everyone. I think that's a great place to end it this morning. Really great session. I enjoyed it very much. You guys are awesome. Have a great weekend, everyone. If you're interested, definitely take a look out tomorrow morning, sometime this weekend, for the weekly Forex forecast, which I'll share with you all. And that will kind of just solidify what's going on everywhere and give us a fresh look at what's going on for our plan into next week. That's it, everyone. Have a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon.